A pro-life broadcaster believes that the Zika virus, which is spreading rapidly through Latin America and is entering the United States, and the Flint water crisis is not that big of a deal compared to issues involving immigration. So let me give you the details on this. It's Sandy Rios, and she is a well-known conservative who is with the American Family Association. And she considers herself pro-life. Just remember that as I give you details on what she recently said while speaking. So Sandy Rios, who's the director of the governmental affairs portion of this ridiculous organization, said neither health crisis posed as much threat as Islamic State militants or Latino immigrants. Zika virus, not that important. Flint water crisis, where children don't have access to clean drinking water, not a crisis. But you know what? Latino immigration, that's a crisis. Even though there is evidence indicating that there are more Mexicans leaving the United States right now than coming in, which means that immigration by Mexicans into the U.S. right now is below net zero, okay? That's according to Pew Research. Latino immigration is not a disastrous situation in the country right now. If you're worried about the millions of undocumented immigrants in the U.S., well, what are you going to do? Are you going to deport all of them? Okay, deport all of them.
Many of them would say yes.
Okay, they'll say yes, and it'll destroy our economy. It will literally destroy our economy.
Not if you get Mexico to pay for it. That would save the economy.
She's a
and
clown.
They believe a man who says that he would roughly do something like that.
So here's what I want to get through in this video, and I hope that it's clear to everyone. The vast majority of pro-life conservatives are disingenuous when they talk about pro-life issues.
Again, pro-birth conservative.
She's a pro-birth conservative. A lot of them are pro-birth conservatives. They claim they care about life at the moment of conception, but they don't care about actual living, breathing human beings that don't have access to clean, safe water.
Yeah.
Okay? There are thousands of people who are poor, who are in a lower socioeconomic status, who right now do not have access to clean drinking water, who cannot bathe in their own homes, who just don't have a simple, basic thing to keep them alive, right? And so if you're pro-life, then you would be concerned about this issue. But she's not pro-life, okay? Pro-life people are all about, not all of them, some of them are genuine, but the vast majority that I hear from, the talking heads, the politicians, are doing it for political gain, or they're doing it because they believe that women should be punished if they're sexually liberated. Oh, you're having sex out of wedlock and you get pregnant? You need to be punished. We're going to make you have that baby. No, we're not going to provide any governmental assistance to make sure that that baby stays healthy and alive. We're not going to help you or give you the support you need to be a parent. But you know what? We don't care about that. We just want to punish you. That's what the pro-life movement in this country is really all about. Sandy Rios does not care about people. She does not care about lives. The only thing she cares about is standing on her platform or her podium or wherever she's talking and shaming people for living their lives the way that they want to live their lives.
Yeah, it's also kind of sad that I think that I've heard of her name before. We say that she is well known. But like, you're not going to stand out by saying the two biggest threats to this country are actually ISIS and Latino immigrants. They can tune to any AM radio station and hear that if that's what they want to hear. She's not an independent thinker. She's echoing what she has heard. I saw recently, by the way, it was a chart. It was showing all the different lead levels in different communities, and they had Flint, and Flint is high, obviously, and there's no safe amount of lead for especially children to have in their body. But there were many cities, large cities, that had far more lead in their system.
It's a big problem in Michigan, absolutely.
Exactly, and so similar to with Zika and other birth defects that can be caused by chemicals and additives and things like that, hopefully this will get us to think more about our water supply. And so she wants to say at the same time, this isn't an issue, don't worry about this. But if it is an issue, it's the local Democrats' problem.
Let me give you that quote.
Okay.
She says, the whole issue in Michigan, the left loves to, they're now creating this, I'm sorry, I'm going to really go out on a limb here, the Zika virus, which I haven't talked about, okay?
That's true.
They love to come up, I love how she starts off with...
It was a hoax by the Chinese, actually.
I love
the Zika virus.
Yeah, I love how she started by talking about the water crisis in Flint, and then she's like, oh wait, let me switch the topic to Zika, because maybe the water crisis is serious.
And people are taking it kind of seriously.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to curse.
I was about to get as toxic as the water in Flint.
Yes. She also says they love, meaning liberals, they love to come up with tragedies, and they love to blame, and they love to scare people. I think this issue in Michigan is a serious one, but I don't think it's the big issue that these other issues are.
Well, how are you going to have a paragraph where you say, well, they love to blame and they love to scare people? By the way, ISIS is the scariest thing in the history of humanity. And man, Latino immigrants, have you seen them? They're really scary. No one side tries to scare people. The world has scary things. We just identify different things as being scary. We think that kids being poisoned and either having developmental problems or dying as a result of drinking lead, especially when it can be fixed for something like $100 a day, that seems pretty scary and careless. She thinks ISIS is scary. There's a lot of scary stuff, to be fair.
She thinks anyone who's not white is scary. Be afraid of the Latinos, even though I haven't done any research and I don't know how many Latinos are currently entering the country or how much they're actually providing our economy. Let's be afraid of the Muslims because that's a very popular talking point amongst Republicans, and they love being afraid of Muslims. It's ridiculous. I mean, look, the Zika virus is not huge in the U.S. yet, okay? There's a possibility that it could be. But the ramifications on pregnant mothers or pregnant women is disastrous, right? It could lead to serious birth defects. To say that that's not that big of a deal while also claiming to be pro-life or anti-choice, I should say, is ridiculous.
Yeah, it would be nice if, I mean, I don't know how personally religious she is. She represents the AFA, so I'm imagining there's a good bit of that. But one of the reasons we call them pro-birth instead of pro-life is when you think about really conservative people who are really interested in abortion and birth, and especially those who do it for religious reasons, you think about all the different ways that religion and healthcare, especially for children, sort of combine typically in America. You have opposition to abortion. You have people defending Christian scientists from having to give their kids medicine because it's against the will of God. You have don't teach them about homosexuality or sex because it'll turn them into sluts. I mean, there's some things like that, and that's all well and good. Everybody likes that. But if you're going to talk about the abortion, why is it that they then, okay, man, I made sure that baby got born, and now I'm going to follow his ass for the next 8 years, and I'm going to make sure that he has healthy food to eat, and he's going to get all of his shots, and he's going to get exercise. Like, they don't worry about the actual life as much.
Because they don't care about the actual life.
But if they did that, then I would listen a bit on the abortion. If they really cared throughout the rest of that kid's life. But they don't. It's like, get out there and no, get out of my way. I got to talk about more fetuses.
Anti-choice Republicans, conservatives, love to point to the black community and talk about, oh, abortion is impacting the black community the most. The vast majority of abortions are done by black women, right? But it's almost as if they're concerned about their babies, right? They want the babies to be born. But the second that those kids are born, they're thugs.
Here's some Letty water.
Right?